In the summer of 1940, London was a bustling capital still clinging to normal life, despite the dark clouds of war looming overhead. Families shopped in crowded markets, children played in the parks, and pubs echoed with laughter and piano tunes. But behind the everyday scenes, a sense of unease grew stronger. France had fallen, and Britain stood alone. Adolf Hitler had a new plan. Operation Sea Lion, the invasion of Britain. But before German troops could set foot on British soil, the skies would become the first battlefield. The Luftwaffe, Hitler's aerial strike force, began a campaign to cripple British morale and destroy its industrial heart. The first targets were ports and airfields, but when the RAF bombed Berlin in retaliation, Hitler's wrath turned toward London. On the evening of September 7, 1940, the first major air raid on London began. Over 300 German bombers, protected by swarms of fighters, flew across the English Channel. Their targets, the East End docks and surrounding neighborhoods. That night, the city was transformed into a sea of fire. Incendiary bombs lit entire blocks ablaze. The roar of engines, the screech of falling bombs, and the thunder of explosions became the new sounds of London. Civilians took shelter wherever they could, in basements, under stairs, and eventually, deep in the tunnels of the underground. But no shelter could protect everyone. That first raid killed over 400 people, and it was only the beginning. As the nightly raids continued, Londoners adapted. Tube stations like Aldwych and Bethnal Green became mass shelters. People brought mattresses, radios, and even pets. Children slept soundly just feet from strangers. Musicians performed to lift spirits. The government at first discouraged using the underground, fearing panic, but the people ignored the warnings. Despite the danger and discomfort, community grew in the shadows. Volunteers organized meals. Doctors and nurses tended to the wounded. The Blitz spirit, a phrase born of unity and resilience, took shape underground. London was not defeated. It had simply moved below the surface. Daylight revealed the destruction. Streets once lined with row houses were now reduced to rubble. St. Paul's Cathedral, miraculously standing amid the smoke and debris, became a symbol of survival. Firefighters worked tirelessly, even during air raids. The auxiliary fire service, mostly volunteers, braved collapsing buildings and blazing streets. Women served as air raid wardens, first aid responders, and ambulance drivers. Each night, the Luftwaffe returned. London was bombed for 57 consecutive nights, but every morning, life went on. Trains ran, shops opened, people carried on, dirty, tired, but unbroken. By May 1941, Hitler turned his attention eastward toward the Soviet Union. The nightly bombings eased. Londoners emerged from the underground into a changed city, broken buildings, empty spaces where homes once stood. Over 40,000 civilians had been killed across Britain, with thousands more injured, but the Blitz had failed in its mission. Instead of breaking morale, it forged it. The British people had endured. The world watched as a free people stood against tyranny. The Blitz wasn't just about bombs, it was about courage, adaptation, and quiet defiance. Its legacy lives on, in rebuilt neighborhoods, in wartime diaries, in memorials, and in every story passed down about how London, against all odds, stood tall through fire and darkness.